Hey, what's up? This is Seth Green, and you are listening to Somewhere in Vegas with Mark, and I am so hot, I would desperately like a glass of water. Please, please, give me some water.
This is Cindy Preston, and I'm with Mark on Somewhere in Vegas.
Hi, this is Melissa Peterman from CMT's The Singing Bee and the television show Reba. And I have to tell you, I just have to get it off my chest, I love Somewhere in Vegas with Mark.
Hi there. This is Faith Roscoe from General Hospital. You're listening to Mark on Somewhere in Vegas. And you better watch out. We know how to find you if you're not listening.
Hi, this is Shannon Egan from Whippet, and I love Somewhere in Vegas with Mark.
Hey, this is Lee Allen Baker with Somewhere in Vegas, talking with Mark with a Q.
This is Courtney Cronin. You're listening to Somewhere in Vegas with your host, Mark, and I would make sure to listen every week because he's a sure bet.
Hey, this is the Money Man, Eddie Money. I got 2 tickets to Paradise, and it's, you know what? It's Somewhere in Vegas. And what happens in Vegas stays in Vegas.
Hi, this is Crystal Gale, and I love Somewhere in Vegas with Mark.
Hi, this is Terry Nunn from Berlin, and you're listening to Mark Somewhere in Vegas.
Hi, this is Miracle Laurie from Joss Whedon's Dollhouse. There are 3 flowers in a vase, and I'm listening to Somewhere in Vegas with Mark.
Hi, this is Erin Hill, and you are listening to Mark on Blog Talk Radio and Somewhere in Vegas. Mark is a great guy.
Hi, this is Sean Pulaski. I'm still trying to figure out Mark Pico's sexuality, but I know you're listening to Somewhere Live in Vegas.
Here you go, Mark. I'm sorry. I thought you were she. I'm sorry. Get out of the tent. Let's get out of here.
Hey, this is Lance and Anna from Free Radio. And Anna?
And you're listening to Somewhere in Vegas.
Yes.
My favorite.
You know, that's usually what happens with me. I go to Vegas and I get lost, and so I end up somewhere in Vegas.
Somewhere in Vegas.
But right. I just don't know where it is.
Not quite sure.
Yeah, word.
Get ready. It's going to be hot. It's in Vegas. Check out Mark. Be there or be square.
My guest at this time is really kind of rocking up the East Coast, as it were. Their new single, When Anxiety Attacks, is currently out, and we have one member of David Sprague on with us right now. How you doing, David?
Good. How are you?
I'm doing great. How's the band going? And obviously, with you can't necessarily tour at all with the band, but how's it been? Just being up in Maine and being able to at least do some recording.
Well, we've actually been streaming an awful lot too, so it's actually kind of working out for us. We were having trouble getting to shows. I mean, just the planning and setting it all up. So when this all went down, we sort of just leaned into streaming online. So we stream like 4 nights a week from our Facebook page and from Twitch. And that's way easier for us to do. And people are, looking for something to watch. So it's a good time to be a streamer right now.
Yeah, especially, you can get that instant feedback. I know you don't get that same rush that you do on stage, but at least you get a lot of feedback and all that as well. I mean, how's it been with the fans, interacting with the fans on social media?
It's been good, and it's been a ton of fun. I love it. I love chatting with people and hanging out. And it's way more personal than like a show where like you get to talk to the people. They get to ask you questions right away and you can answer them. And if they request a song, if you know it, you can play it, that sort of thing. And we do a lot of improv too. So we'll make up a song on the spot for someone if they, tickle our fancy enough.
So that must be interesting. I do ask the question about what's the quickest you've ever written a song to a lot of artists. So obviously that's something that you probably do on a weekly basis, right?
Right, for sure.
Probably how fast do you think that you can come up with a song? Maybe a couple minutes, or I mean, obviously lyrics is another thing too. But how's that process work?
Well, I'm kind of inclined towards fast. I usually don't take very long to write songs unless it's like a really like personal song or really emotional. But like on the stream, for instance, we'll make up a song on the spot. So I'll just write it in my head as I'm singing it. My brain is kind of weird that way, but I've always been able to do it since I was a kid.
Do you ever have an idea or something that you may just write on paper and then come back to it if you maybe get a little bit of writer's block?
No, not really. I don't really write when I don't need to, if that makes sense. My writing comes in waves. So right now I'm actually in the middle of a wave of writing where I've just been pretty much picking up the guitar and writing nonstop. That will end eventually, and then we'll have an album ready. But once that ends, I won't pick up the guitar to write something for a while. I work in phases like that.
And on the live streams, do you do you guys use electric guitars, or do you use acoustic, or is it a combination of both?
Recently we've only been doing acoustic because that's the setup that we have. But originally we had an electric setup and an acoustic setup, so we can swap between. And eventually we'll get back to that because it is fun playing like full band to a live stream.
Yeah, I would imagine as much. And it's a little bit different sound and little different. I guess, mood when it comes to acoustic, especially, if you're playing a song that you guys have written for an electric guitar as well. So it must be very interesting for the fans to hear an acoustic version of maybe what electric guitar is.
For sure. And we have pretty much both versions for most of our songs. So most of our songs can be played either way. But yeah, there's things that are nice about acoustics and there's things that are fun about electrics, and we try to balance the two. So,
about how many guitars do you own?
Ooh, good question. Are we counting bass guitars? 1, 2, 3, 4, 7.
7.
Yeah.
Yeah. Is that including the acoustics or just the electrics?
No, that's acoustic and electric. I could get my hands on probably 9 or 10, but I have right now with me about 7, and that's including an electric bass and an acoustic bass.
Is there any certain brand that you prefer in terms of playing?
I love the Martin guitars. I also love, obviously, Gibson is amazing, but yeah, I love the Martin guitars. I think that they're amazing, and for the price that you can get your hands on one of them, it's like hard to beat the Martin.
Yeah, I've been asking a lot of musicians that have been on the show for the past couple of weeks about using different instruments on stage, different guitars on stage. About how many guitars do you think that you'll usually use on a stage setting, or even with the live stream, do you have to change out guitars once in a while?
I usually have a backup guitar ready to go, but I also, if I'm doing like a drop D or any weird tunings, I'll have a second one ready to like tuned up that way. But usually 2. I don't need more than that. I don't play around with tuning all that much. I'm a capo guy, so I'm just sliding all around the guitar.
And a question I'd like to ask is, do you name any of your guitars?
No, sorry.
Yeah. It seems to be the trend nowadays not to, just because a lot of musicians either decide that they want to get rid of their guitars at one point or whatever. So it's one of those situations. Tell me a little bit about how the group got started and how you yourself got started in music.
Well, I've been playing music for as long as I can remember. I started playing the guitar when I was 14, I think. I taught myself the piano when I was 18. And so music has always been a part of my life. The band started when basically my brother and I decided that we were going to get serious and actually push to try to become effectively professional musicians. So that's where the band came from. About this time last year, we got together and we came up with the band name. We got the .com and then started recording almost right away. But we played together off and on our whole lives. We just haven't really put in the time and dedication to make it a real thing until now.
What was it like the first time you guys got into the studio and started working? I know there's sometimes a learning curve the first time that you go into a studio, but what's it like? What was it like for you guys coming in?
Well, we did all the recording in-house, so it was definitely a learning curve. We basically, it's literally, the EP is called Rough Draft because that's literally what it was. It was like an old computer and 2 microphones, and we just recorded the whole thing in 2 days. So it's very rough, but I actually kind of like it that way. But yeah, certainly there was a lot of trial and error, and there was a lot of just error, and that's all in there if you want to hear it. But we're gonna we have a much better setup now, and we're gonna try one more time with the in-house recording, and then if we're not happy with the final product here with the full album, we'll probably plan on our next one being in an actual recording studio professionally.
Yeah, sometimes you kind of do like it rough. They always say something about, the vinyl albums being, some people like the sound of the vinyl album because it's not so overproduced.
Right,
so,
for sure.
There are advantages to not, and you don't overthink stuff sometimes in terms of that too. So, it's always nice. You see the Grammys sometimes where they'll have a Grammy award-winning song and there's like 6 or 7 different producers on it. It's like,
for sure,
it's crazy to think that that sometimes simpler is absolutely better as well.
Right.
How many members are there in the band?
It fluctuates. There's really 2 core members. It's me and my brother, but we have some people who come in and out, and pretty much we're just down to play with anybody. So we kind of like it that way.
How is the scene up in Maine? I know that the East Coast always has a lot of action going on in terms of stage shows or whatever. But before COVID, what was it like to in Maine? And did you guys go further south just to play a couple gigs?
For sure. We're sort of in between Portsmouth and Portland, which are the 2 big cities outside of Boston in this area. So we're about 45 minutes away from either one, and that's really where you have to go to get any sort of show. So that's why it was sort of wearing on us, the travel and the setup, and you have to basically plan your whole day around the show. But Portland has a great scene. There's a bunch of artists there, and they all get along, and Portsmouth is similar. So it's not that there isn't a scene around here. We're just not really a part of it because we are I'd rather play online to 10 people who are coming just to see us than go play somewhere at a random bar or something with people that are just there to hang out. It's much more intimate, and I don't know.
Yeah. I think people, like I said, there's a lot of people that are gravitating towards that situation where they would rather do it online than go to the concert. It might be one of those things where it's going to be more prevalent in 2021 since the bar restrictions are going to start happening, I think, and we don't know when we're going to have,
when or
so
if.
many crowds. So it's crazy. Now, I would be remiss not to mention that, sorry to say that Eddie Van Halen had passed, and, you being a part of a really huge band and all that as well. How much of an influence was he on you, and some of your thoughts on Eddie?
He was an influence on me, but more as a second party. I was influenced a lot by the people who were influenced a lot by him. I'll say that. I don't consider myself that guitar player. I can play the guitar, but I only play the guitar so that I can sing along to it. If someone came along and was like, I'm going to be your guitar player now, I would be the happiest guy on the planet. I learned it so that I could sing along to it. But yeah, he's influenced all the people who've influenced me. He's a huge part of it, and it's really a huge bummer that, it sucks. That's the only way to really put it.
Yeah, exactly. He influenced so many other people, and like you said, that those people influenced other people like yourself. So, it's kind of a bummer that he had passed and all that as well. But I kind of hope that this generation can at least, see what he's done. I had said on Twitter that Eddie had taken what Hendrix did and cranked it to 20. I think that's a pretty good description of what Eddie was. So it's sorry to say about the passing. Speaking of rock and roll, we haven't, we're kind of in a phase where I think that rock's making a little bit of a comeback. We've been stuck in the kind of the pop bubble for the past decade or so. What's your thoughts on the rock scene, as it were? Because there are people that saying that, a lot of these rock bands have pretty much died out. But what's your kind of your perspective right now?
So I would say that I think that there's no way around the fact that rock and roll peaked a little while ago, and it's probably not coming back the way that it once was. But the way that I look at it is that pop is effectively on steroids at this point. They've just got, if you're a halfway decent songwriter, then you're on their payroll and you're writing their songs for them. And so, a lot of people like me, I have friends who are professional songwriters because it's better than grinding it out, playing original music, and it's a steady income. It's a nice way to make a living. So pop is just going to be there forever, and they're just going to keep getting more. They're going to keep spreading the net and catching more and more people with their